Well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for today's conference. Today's topic, we are going to talk about understanding and adapting to diverse cultures in a professional context. I don't know if anyone here works in an international team. You have colleagues from all over the world. It's certainly the case here at Le Cercle de Langue. We have teachers from many places. I'm from Scotland personally, and and obviously the Cercle de Langue office is based in France, right? For those that do not know me, my name is Warren. I am, of course, one of the teachers here at Le Cercle de Langue. I should say this conference today is suited to a B1, B2 level. The conference will be in English, okay? However, if there's something you don't understand or you have any questions, please feel free to ask the question just here in the chat box, and I will get to your question as soon as I can. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? Let me just get this here. So as I say, today's topic, we're going to be talking about, understanding and adapting to diverse cultures in a professional context. The purpose of today's agenda, we will understand diverse cultures. We will look at ways of adapting to a diverse cultural context, and we'll also talk about the benefits at the workplace as well. Okay. So, introduction. Culture, one of my favorite subjects, to be honest. How do we define culture? One could say that culture encompasses the beliefs, values, customs, and behaviors shared by a group of people. Perhaps this group of people live in a certain place or they work in a certain place. But I think this here is a good definition of culture. As I say, it takes into account one's beliefs, their values, their customs, behavior, the way they think, maybe the way they act as well. Okay. Now, a point here that is very important. Understanding, different cultures is crucial, right? Whether you are traveling or going to another country, or even within your own city, you might have different people from all over the world living there. But within the workplace, we could say it is crucial for effective communication, collaboration, and these two factors, communication and collaboration in a globalized professional world. Okay. Now, quite often we hear two terms associated with different cultures in the workplace or in professional contexts. You might hear multiculturalism and globalization. Now, these two things here, they are two significant aspects of contemporary social development, right? I think we can agree on this. So it's really important to understand the value of human relations, regardless of the origins of each individual. So two keywords we have here, multiculturalism and globalization as well. When it comes to understanding diverse cultures, some people might interpret this in different ways. I think the point here is, everyone should have an open mind when it comes to things like this. Okay. In today's world, the term interculturality refers to the existence and equitable interaction of diverse cultures. What do I mean by that? So, for example, one could say the mixing of cultures in perhaps academic, professional, and maybe even recreational contexts can help human beings to understand the power of communication and cultural enrichment. I don't know if anyone here has traveled to a country where they have experienced, a completely different culture. They have experienced, perhaps some level of shock, culture shock, as we call it in the UK, because things are completely different to where you're from, and the country that you were in. Certainly happened to me a couple of times. So we have two terms here. We have interculturality and power of communication. Okay. As I say, mixing of cultures in academic, professional, and recreational contexts can help human beings to understand the power of communication. So, one thing that is intertwined with culture is, of course, language. One of the many reasons that you guys have come to Le Cercle de Langue, to develop your language skills, right? One could say, consequently, behind every language lies a history that has influenced, millions of people across all 7 continents. Now, for me personally, I am from Scotland, so my mother tongue is English. In Scotland, we have 4 national languages. We have English, we have what's called Scots, we also have Gaelic and British Sign Language. Out of the 4, English is probably the best, Scots to a certain extent, and I used to live in Portugal for a long time, so I can speak Portuguese. And my French is so-so. It's not the best. It's a work in progress at the moment. What about everyone here? Which languages do you speak? You can write them in the chat. I could say here English, Portuguese, and French to B1 level. I would imagine French for everyone. Any other languages? We have a Portuguese speaker as well. Tu falas português também? Oui. Impressive. Okay. We have some multilingual people here. Geraldine, I know you speak English very well as well, yeah? Being modest, only French. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Okay. Right, let's continue here. Okay, so understanding diverse cultures. Okay. So if you think of cities like Paris, Madrid, London, or Brussels, very cosmopolitan international cities, these capitals have many cultures working within the same workplace, right? Communication in different languages. This can allow ideas from different countries to be shared and spread very easily. Yeah. Each city offers different opportunities to English, French, and Spanish speakers, just to name the most common as well. But of course, we can see in other parts of the world where Chinese Mandarin is a very commonly spoken language as well, especially in business. And yeah, okay, so I'm curious if people here, if you all work in an international environment, be asking you some questions about that at the end as well. Now, understanding cultures. We're going to get a little bit more specific. Okay, well, I've listed some examples here as well. So, high context culture. Okay, so in high context cultures, much of the information is implicit and it relies on shared knowledge, relationships, and non-verbal cues. We quite often see this in particularly Asian, Middle Eastern, and maybe even some Latin American cultures. They're often considered to be high context. On the other hand, we have low context culture. What do I mean by this? Communication in these cultures is explicit. Okay, the information is conveyed through words spoken rather than relying heavily on context or non-verbal cues. We see this particularly in the United States and Western cultures, many European countries as well. They are often considered to be low context. Certainly my country as well, Scotland, United Kingdom as well. Now, how to understand these diverse cultures? Now, the core elements of culture, there's a few things to consider. One could consider cultural values, for example, beliefs and principles that guide behavior. An example here, in individualistic cultures, personal achievement and autonomy are highly valued, particularly in the US and here in Canada, where I live as well. Whereas collectivist cultures emphasize, group harmony and interdependence as well. Cultural norms is another thing we should think about. So, for example, accepted behaviors within a society. An example here could be, in Japanese culture, is customary to bow as a sign of respect, whereas in some Western cultures, a firm handshake is more common, as I know it is in France as well. Okay, so things to consider here: core elements of culture, cultural values, and cultural norms. We can also take a look at cultural communication as well. So, different communication styles and preferences. An example here, in high context cultures like Japan, using Japan a lot as an example today, communication relies heavily on implicit understanding. While in low context cultures, such as the United States, explicit verbal communication is more common. Importance of non-verbal cues. Okay, so like understanding body language, for example, gestures with your hands, eye contact, which we're going to talk about next. So understanding and interpreting non-verbal aspects of communication. Maintaining eye contact is considered a sign of attentiveness in some cultures, particularly in mine, in the UK. Shows we're listening. Whereas in other countries, in other cultures, maybe prolonged eye contact may be perceived as confrontational or maybe even disrespectful as well. And there's been some cases of this belief, so to speak, in Japan and in China as well. It's fascinating culture, isn't it? How it differentiates country to country. But yeah, it's very, very, very interesting, I think. So we've just talked about there cultural communication as well as importance of non-verbal cues. Now, adapting to a diverse cultural context. Take a look at some examples here. Now, when I say this, adapting to a diverse cultural context, it is essential for effective communication, right? I think we can all agree on this. It's effective for not just communication, but collaboration and getting a good understanding of today's globalized world as well. Many job positions nowadays, especially after the pandemic, many people like myself are working online. They're working for a company that's based in another country. And yeah, so I mean, it's today we're in 2024, we are more globalized than we have ever been, right? Here are some tips I can share with you to help you adapt to different social situations. The first one here, no, before I say that, here are some factors to keep in mind during intercultural interactions. So things like effective communication, respecting cultural sensitivities. One thing that is taboo in one country might not be taboo in another. And just being cautious of things like that. Being able to adapt to change, being able to, welcome the change with an open mind and an open heart, very important. And it's also important to reflect on your own culture as well. It's very difficult not to compare and contrast, what it's like, in France, for example, to what it's like in Scotland, or any other country. But as I say, the most crucial point just at the end there, open mindedness. Just because it makes sense in France doesn't mean it will make sense elsewhere, and vice versa. Okay. So, effective communication, respect cultural sensitivities, adapt to change, reflect on your own culture, open mindedness. Okay. Now, if you take the previous factors into account, your experience within diverse cultural contexts will be productive and satisfying. You get to learn a lot as well. And in addition, as you communicate with different individuals, as it says here, you'll be able to learn and recognize many other perspectives as well. Benefits at the workplace. Let's discuss this. So one thing we can take a look at is the benefits you can have in an environment where there are people from different cultures. Okay, they can be very positive, right? So in addition, if your company has links with companies abroad, the possibility of generating agreements and encouraging growth is very high. Empathy and respect can make your relationships at work form into strong friendships as well. Therefore, having assertive communication will help you get the best of what your company and colleagues have to offer. All right. Now, I've included this here. This is just for fun, okay? I'm going to present you 6 sentences in total. Um, One could argue there may be cultural norms or a little bit of stereotypes of different countries, okay? You're going to see 3 sentences and 3 countries, okay? The sentences talk about the workplace culture in a country. You have to match the sentence to the country, okay? You can do this basically by writing here in the chat box. So, for example, you can say, like we have here, like number 1 to to A. For example, I'm not saying that's correct, okay? But just so you can see what I mean here. I'll read the sentences for you. So, bowing and business cards. Emphasis on hierarchical relationships, bowing and as a greeting, and a formal exchange of business cards. Punctuality and efficiency, valuing punctuality, efficiency, and a preference for formal business attire in the workplace. Personal relationships in business, crucial importance of building personal relationships, engaging in social contexts, and placing trust at the forefront of business dealings. Which sentence here, or which point, refers to Brazil? Which one refers to Germany? And which one refers to Japan? Type your answers in the chat box, okay? What do we think? Thank you, Geraldine, leading the way here. Okay, good. John Celine as well. Thank you. Yep. Faustine is with me. Okay, great. Excellent. Got one more. Give you 5 seconds. Let's double check, shall we? Let's see, we've got a couple of different answers here. So, as we can see, Japan, okay, notorious for bowing and their love of business cards, okay? Fun fact for you, which I have not included in the slide, but I did read once that it is very important if you're doing business with someone in Japan and they give you a business card, you should accept it with both hands. They really value business cards. Yeah. Germany, this might be a little bit of a stereotype, but there's definitely some truth to it. Punctuality and efficiency, something they are known for. Okay, valuing punctuality, efficiency, and a preference for formal business attire in the workplace. And the last one here, of course, Brazil, personal relationships in business. Crucial, okay, absolutely crucial for building personal relationships, engaging in social context, and placing trust at the forefront of business dealings. Let's try another one, shall we? Now this one here, I forgot to place the numbers here. Sorry. So the first sentence, number one. The second sentence, number two. The third one, number three. Okay. So guanxi in business. The significance of guanxi, which translates as personal relationships in business culture, with a focus on trust building and face-to-face communication. Egalitarian workplace, emphasis on a flat organizational structure and collaborative decision making rather than a hierarchy. The last one here, relationships and jugat, I think that's how you pronounce it, building business relationships on personal connections, engaging in small talk before discussions, and valuing innovative problem solving. Which is which? Whenever you're ready, go. John Celine is leading the way here. Great. Faustine, yep. Thank you, Geraldine. The answers are coming in now. Great. Let's double check them, shall we? You're absolutely correct. Okay. So China, the significance of personal relationships and business culture, the focus on trust building and face-to-face communication. They have a word for this, guanxi. Sweden, known for its focus on having a flat organizational structure where there is collaborative decision making rather than one person at the top making the decisions. And in India, as it says here, building business relationships on personal connections, engaging in small talk before discussions, and valuing innovative problem solving. Bravo, everyone. Okay, very well done in answering those there. Now, I've included the key vocabulary at the end here. You will get a copy of this PowerPoint and the video will be available online as well. So cross-cultural communication, cultural sensitivity, intercultural competence, diversity and inclusion, global mindset, cultural awareness, cultural intelligence, workplace diversity. Cultural adaptation, multicultural teamwork, global business etiquette, interpersonal skills, cultural competence training, cultural competence training, cross-cultural collaboration, expatriate management, and workplace diversity. So we do have some e-learning modules available. Okay, I'll get them sent to you as well. And yeah, we have an article that's available and a YouTube video as well. Okay. Now, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for watching. It was a real pleasure presenting one of my favorite subjects to you. Actually, I love to talk about culture. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Anyone want to share their experience working in a multinational organization or a company with many different people from all over the world? Cecile, thanks for the thumb. I can see someone has raised their hand here. So where did the notification go? John Celine, you're from Brazil. Nice. Very good. I've never been to Brazil. I would love to go to Brazil. It's a very, very special place, I imagine. Yeah. I can see the comments coming in now. Okay. So where do you prefer to live? France or Brazil, John Celine?
Trial,
You hear me okay?
trial,
Trowel? Not sure if there's a microphone problem there, but yeah, no, I
trial,
can't hear you, John Celine. No, I can't hear you. It goes and comes back.
trial,
Yeah, I can't hear. It's okay. We're at the ends now anyway. But yeah. Anyway, okay. So if nobody else has
trial,
questions, okay. Why don't we conclude there? Okay. You love Brazil, but prefer life in France. Okay. Perfect. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming today. It's been a real pleasure getting to speak with you. I
trial.
will be doing another conference next week, and yeah, I hope to see you all again soon. Okay. Bye, everyone. Till
Trial.
next time.